All right, we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to my solo game of Legend in the Mist. So, last week, I was kind of getting sick, and I actually got very sick. I had COVID, I believe, or something close to that. So, yeah, my last session was probably not the best, and to be fair, it was a lot of setup and prep. And I'm gonna say that that's just what happens when you do a solo game anyway, and I wanted you guys to kind of be a part of that experience. But today, we're going to be getting into a lot more action, as if anyone who is watching this remembers, or saw the last episode even. We have our protagonist, Anrod Frost, a kind of rogue-esque character who uses poison-tipped daggers. He's agile as a fox. He's indebted, and he was a former street urchin. And we were asked by his childhood friend, Esvel Rollins, who is a noble's daughter, to save the guards of her manor as they're being attacked by a miasma beast. And she showed up at the guild. We said, hey, we'll join, and then we got some companions. We rolled for the numbers. We got 4 companions. Nesta Silvergraft, the Paladin of Elmo, which is great. Dolok Astario, the Feypack Warlock. Duran Duran the Chivalrous, and his faithful yak, Doran. And Baylor Adams, the Spirit Medium. A very ragtag group to be taking on a very powerful threat. And so when we arrived at the scene, we see this large miasma beast, which is, think of like the behemoth from Final Fantasy, covered in this kind of thick, cloying smoke and black mist that is currently barreling down upon some guards who are doing their best to fight off this creature. And we were asked to save these guards, so that's what we're gonna do. We've arrived here on the scene, and now things are going to be hopefully getting better, but probably will getting much worse. I've also made the beasts a adventure level threat, even though we're all origin level. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Now the scene has 2 challenges. We have to defend the Roland family house guard, and we have to get the miasma beast out of here. So both can potentially add threats to any particular action. And as far as how I'm going to run this, my character is going to, Anrod here, is going to have his own action, and then the NPCs, one, several, or all, will have their own kind of unified action. So effectively we'll be playing with 2 characters, and I can help them by tossing in one of my tags that are important, and they can help me doing vice versa. So we start with the threat, and the threat starting off is the miasma beast raises its massive paw, swirling with this dark mist, about to slam down on the barricade in which the guards are standing dutifully but fearfully behind. So I'm gonna say Duran Duran, who has the flaw heroic, is going to charge into battle, and he's going to attempt to stop this by ramming into the side of the beast. So we're gonna have Duran Duran use his tag, and this is one thing I kind of hate about this system, is every time I hit something, that journal is gonna pop up. We'll get back to that. Duran Duran's gonna use that. He's riding his faithful yak Doran. He is gonna be using his mounted combat, and he is heroic. I'm going to say that Nesta is going to also run in. Her inspiring aura is going to help, but I'm going to say that she's not taking the brunt of the blow, since Duran Duran is coming in, so her resplendent plate mail is not going to come into effect. And I'm going to say Dolok is going to need some time before he gets to act. And Baylor Adams is probably just going to toss in his spiritual allies. So he's going to commune with them and his spiritual allies are going to kind of come in. So that is all their stuff, which we're looking at a pretty sizable amount of power right now. We're looking at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, minus 1 for heroic, so 6. But the Miasma Beast is nothing to sniff at. So it has its hulking form. This is a adventurer level tag. I'll bring this back forward now. So this is an adventure level tag. So this is actually going to give -4. So our 6 is already down to 2. Its Ravenous Hunger is probably not going to come into play here. So, because it's not attacking the characters directly. Well, no, actually it is going to come into play because it is attacking the guards, and that's something we're trying to stop. It is covered in shadow, which is going to make it harder to hit. And then the negative status, the Cloaked in Miasma here, is not necessarily a negative we have to worry about, but if we want to get rid of that miasma for other effects, that's something we have to remove first before we can remove those effects. So that is going to be a grand total of, let's see, we'll do a detailed roll here. And so we're looking at 3 power, but that's actually going to be reduced down to, not positive. That's going to be reduced down to 0 power. So our entire group, at this point in time, actually, you know what? I'm going to toss in my hidden daggers. I'm going to throw some daggers at it, to kind of help distract. So that's going to give us a +1 power overall, which is not great, but we're going to be able to hopefully do something. So let's go ahead and make a roll here. Oh my god, look at that. We got a 10 on the dot. We rolled really good there. So we got a 10 on the dot, but we only got 1 power. And that is, I mean, that's just how it goes when you're dealing with a massive threat like this. So the Miasma Beast here, or the Beast of Shadows, rather, is going to, I'm going to say, so Duran Duran's running in. He's being amped up by this aura. We're all making an attack at once. We're going to divert the creature, stopping it from making its attack, and we're going to do a wounds to it. So we're going to go ahead and add in here a, we're going to do Wounded 1. And that's going to be a negative status for the Beast of Shadows here. So, yeah, that was a super successful. All right. Go Duran Duran. But the Shadow Beast now turns its attention towards Duran Duran and is going in and is looking like it's going to mess him up. The spotlight is going to transfer over to Anrod. So the teammates are all kind of doing things. Anrod is going to kind of go here. I think what Anrod wants to do is he's going to hope that they can kind of hold out for a second. He wants to sneak around behind the beast to try to get a good angle on it. So he's going to very carefully, he's going to use his agile as a fox to move with great agility. And he's going to use his easily overlooked from his former street urchin, which we might as well prop that, since that is what is giving us that power tag. And as well, let's see here. Anything else that can help us hide? Hidden daggers, technically, but that will apply once we have the hidden tag, as like we'll be able to use that. Well, I guess technically we'd be able to use it anyway, but we're not using the daggers in this scene. Yeah. So he is, we're not dealing with a threat. So at the moment, we're using its distraction. Dolok, seeing Anrod kind of move around behind it, is going to toss in an assist, and he's going to use his beguiling power to kind of help draw the creature's attention. So as far as as far as this check is concerned, so it's going to attack. Our allies are going to have to find a way to defend themselves, or they're going to get messed up. Oh, I also have the rocky outcroppings, actually. You guys probably can't see that. So we have rocky outcroppings, which can be definitely used to hide behind. Or ruins. I think either or could work. And I say the desperate struggle also helps. So we got a bunch here. Now we're not directly addressing the threat. We're trying to get a big benefit to help deal with this. So we're going to, I don't think there's any negatives here in the scene. I don't see. Yeah, nothing yet, though I do see a tag that might come up. So we're going to use a detailed roll. We got a, oh, we don't have this big negative. Because right now the hulking form isn't giving it anything for detecting us. The only thing I could say is maybe it's ravenous hunger. We could also technically apply the wounded condition, which might be good. It was just wounded, so that makes sense. Okay. So let's see. Shrink these windows down. So yeah, we got 7 power for this check, which is real good. It's probably going to be very solid. Okay, so we succeeded. So we have 7 power to do a variety of things. But all we did, so we can't apply this power to attacking the creature or anything like that. So I'm going to give us, I'm going to spend 2 of that power to give us Well Hidden as a tag. I'll just close that for now. Well Hidden as a tag. And I'm going to give us Sneak Attack. Or, let's see, we'll do Ambush as a status. And we can do max 5. And that'll give us, so that is everything. So this is going to be for a huge attack on the beast on our next turn. But while Anrod is doing this, we didn't stop it from attacking, so it's going to turn on Duran Duran, and it is going to drive into him 5 damage, which is enough to down characters. So Duran Duran is knightly trained, so we're gonna give him a power. Let's see. What else can apply here? The Inspiring Aura from Nesta Silvergraft can help, but her armor can't because she's not being attacked. We could say that the spiritual allies are running interference. Don't have a lot to defend him in this situation. So we're going to go ahead and make this a quick roll because we're just reducing the power. We do not apply the wounded condition because you don't double up on tags. So even though normally if this was like another character actor that would probably apply, because this was Anrod's action, the wounded condition itself is something that I used for my check. So we don't have that one. We got these 3. That means still 2 wounds are coming at Duran Duran, which is going to be very painful for him to deal with. I think we just got to roll with it. I don't think there's anything else we can do. So we're going to go ahead. That is good. So how it works for situations like this when you're using a reaction, you apply any negative tags that affect the situation. The Shadow Beast itself didn't have any tags directly related to the effectiveness of its attack, so we didn't apply anything from that. It does 5 damage because even though it's a three challenge creature, it's adventure tier, and since we're all considered origin, it will do 2 more effective like wound damage. So that being said, I swore I had. Oh, we did the roll. Duh. So that was 3 power off. So Duran is going to suffer a wounded 2 condition, which is not bad considering the threats that we're up against here. But Duran is going to pretty much be taken out of the fight. Let's do it. We'll add a status here. Duran wounded -2. So we have this condition now for our character sheet, but it's only affecting Duran. So the beast's claw comes smashing down. Duran does his best to kind of get out of the way. The beast kind of gets distracted somewhat, but it finds home. Duran gets knocked off of his mount, lands on the ground, tumbles to his feet best he can, but he was obviously super wounded by that. So now the beast with Duran down is looking to finish the job, but we're going to have Nesta Silvergraft is going to come in, and she's going to kind of get in the creature's way and take the next attack. So Nesta is going to go. We're going to get rid of that. Nesta's going to go. She is going to use her Resplendent Plate Mail. She's not inspiring anyone else in this moment, so her inspiring aura is not going to go off. Duran is the one who's being defended by this action. And if he does anything, he's wounded is going to apply anyway. So... Well, I'm going to say that his yak is going to try to get him out of there. Now to combat doesn't necessarily work for this, but his yak will come in. Baylor Adams is definitely going to be using his spiritual allies to kind of avoid, help distract the beast while Nesta is kind of doing her thing. Dolok is going to make Nesta more appealing to the creature with beguiling power. So the creature is unintentionally being influenced to watch her. So that is a good amount of power. And Anrod is kind of waiting in the back line. So we're going to turn this into a detailed roll. And then we got 7 power, but that's not going to last very long because we have the hulking form. It's Ravenous Hunger. It being covered in shadows is not necessarily doing anything in this moment because we're not striking it now. She's getting in the way. Yes. That's pretty good, all things considered. And I want to... Oh, it's wounded, which is good. That's a good condition for us. I think I kind of want to toss in Miasma, though. I feel like being this close to the beasts... It's like looming over Duran. Its miasma is causing us issues. All right, so that being said, we got to add 3 negative for the beast's power. This gives us 2 to the roll, which is better than last time, I gotta say. Let's hope we roll good. Okay, success with consequence. So Duran is successfully saved. That cannot be changed by the results of this. So, Duran gets saved, but the beast is now barreling down onto Nesta, who is going to have to deal with the consequences for this. Which I'm going to say that since Nesta is, or we have 2 power generated from this check, so we succeeded with 2 power. We could use that 2 power to give her effectively like a defended status, or like guard. So why don't we do that? So she's going to put up her guard as she kind of gets in the way. She gets guard 2, and we're going to use that guard to negate some of the damage. And so that guard 2 is going to reduce the damage by 2. That is going to mean that Nesta's going to get wounded 3, as we couldn't get a full success on that, which is a little unfortunate, but this is the kind of fight we're in right now. So Nesta did 3, doing the paladin thing and kind of getting in the way, but is also just going to get absolutely wrecked. So Nesta's now wounded. Duran is wounded. But it is now Anrod's going to get the spotlight. The beast is getting ready, and I'm going to say it's getting ready to like explode in a giant miasma-like attack. So everyone is going to suffer some form of negative consequence, including the guards. As it's kind of charging up to do this, I think what Anrod's going to do is he's going to try to take this beast out as best as he can. So he's going to use Well Hidden and his ambush that he set up. Hidden Daggers. They're dipped in poison. He's going to be tossing them all out there, but I'm going to say the beast's hide is going to be enough to trigger his weakness here of bad against armor. And I think that's all we got for this one, because his agility we already used to get into position. Same with his former street urchin. Streetwise Prowler, maybe, but yeah, no. And everyone acted in the last round, so they can't help with this. So it's just going to be us against this beast. So we're going to strike at it. So it's got its hulking form, its ravenous hunger. We're not going to apply wounded because we already are getting a beneficial tag in this situation, which is the wounded one. Covered in shadows is going to affect it though, because it is currently wreathed in shadow and hard to see. I'm also going to say that because it's a desperate struggle, I'm going to apply this as a negative for this, as the beast is in the midst of our allies. If we hit our allies, it's really bad because our daggers are coated in poison. So because we're kind of in the midst of this, I'm going to say desperate struggle is going to be a negative in this situation. And yeah, all right. That is, I think, what we're going to do here. So let's go ahead and make this detailed roll. We got the 3 might, so we're rolling with 1 power. Wait, is that right? That shouldn't be, we should be more than that. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Oh, yeah, minus 1, so 8, minus 2, 7, 6, 5, and then minus 4, so plus 1. Oh my god, it's such a hard fight. Alright, well, that's what we got. We can't do much more than that, so we're gonna go ahead and roll. Alright, so we got a success with the consequence. So we strike at the beast, trying to do some damage to it and trying to like stop it from doing its attack. And I'm gonna say that we were able to stop it from doing its attack, but I'm gonna call it a partial success or a reduced success. So we got the success, but we failed to do any damage. That one power, the one little damage we did to the creature, or would have done to the creature, doesn't do anything. We like hit it after using all of our benefits, and its hide is just too tough. So that's gonna get rid of those conditions because we've now probably pissed this thing off. But we saved everyone in that moment. I was kind of hoping that +5 ambush would have done a little bit more. But yeah, this is the type of challenge. So the beast gets distracted, looks around wildly, and I'm going to say it notices Anrod. And Anrod is away from everyone and kind of, well, let's see. I guess, because my consequence, I'm going to keep my well hidden. I'm going to get rid of my ambush. But I'm going to keep my well hidden tag for now. Because I didn't get a consequence that would make me exposed to it. So we temporarily like knocked it off. I'm going to say that now the beast is like properly being distracted and everything. The guards are going to come in and they are going to attempt to take the beast down while we're dealing with it. That is technically a threat. It's a threat to the beast, but I'm going to say that because of this, the guards, any consequences to this action are going to be affecting the guards, as the beast is going to likely strike back at them. So we need to make sure that this goes off without any hitches. So the guards are going to go. They have... If I do it this way, I want to see. So they're loyal defenders, well armed, but they're terrified. So they're striking at the beast, who we're going to have its hulking form. It's ravenous hunger. And it's covered in shadows is going to apply. And then the companions are going to go, which is very difficult because they're not doing good. Nesta is going to use her inspiring aura to inspire the guards. And I think after Doran gets Duran away, Doran the yak is gonna heroically charge in. Baylor is going to use his spiritual allies to kind of help diffuse the situation somewhat. And Dolok needs like a round to do stuff. The hard part about Dolok is Commune of Fairies allows him to ask the fairies for certain things, but it just hasn't been his turn, so he's not really doing anything. He could try pulling off aggro, but that's not what we want in this situation, because the guards are attacking and they're drawing aggro. I'm going to say maybe Beguiling Power. Maybe he's drawing But there's no one to like draw aggro towards, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, that's really pretty much all it is. Dang, this is gonna be a rough one. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll do detail. It probably should be a quick roll. Oh, let's see. Yes. Okay. So everything applied the way I wanted it to. So loyal defenders and well armed are on our benefit, but they're terrified. And yeah, covered in shadow and everything, and the -3. So we have a -1. So the guards are likely to get pretty messed up from this. But we gotta roll. We gotta figure it out. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so they succeed. So they run up and they attack the miasma beasts. And I'm going to say that's going to give it another wound, which is going to upgrade its wounded condition. Oh, I didn't apply its wounds. Which would have made that, let's see, what did we roll? 9? Okay, so if I applied its 1 wounds, that actually would have been a 10. Which would have made that just a pure success. We don't need to worry about consequences. They come in and attack. It'd still just be 1 power, because technically it'd be just rolling with a 0 at that point. But that means their attack is successful. They don't suffer the consequences. And yeah. So we just do another wound to the beast. Okay, that's good. Because the Beast of Shadows has a wound or a harm limit of 4. So it's not doing too good right now. So it's being attacked. It roars. It's not doing good. But everyone, I think, is kind of neglecting the miasma. So the miasma is starting to filter around and is slowly poisoning everyone around it. So our close range people, which mostly is just the guards right now because Duran ran off. I guess Nesta is there as well. They're kind of in peril of being taken out by the fog. So that being the case, I'll probably toss the spotlight to the companions again because I just don't think Anrod can really do much in this situation. But I do think Dolok could. At least somewhat. So yeah, I'm gonna toss this to Dolok here. Give him the spotlight. So Dolok, he is, I'm gonna let's see, we're gonna get rid of hulking form, ravenous hunger, and we're gonna get rid of covered in shadow. We're gonna have the miasma as a negative condition and the cloak to miasma for the enemy as the major things here. So that's pretty much all we're contending against, is that for the miasma in the environment as well as the condition. So we have Dolok. He's going to commune with the fairies, and I think he's just going to ask for the fairies to purify the area the best he can. Yeah. Inspiring Aura from Nesta can be applied here, I think. That's really about it. Yeah, unfortunate, but he's gonna do his best to kind of mitigate the miasma as much as possible. Yeah, I can't see anything else. So that's just what it's got to be. So we're gonna make this a quick roll. We don't have a negative. That's huge. So we're rolling with a -1, which is not terrible. But we just need a success. Oh, consequence with no success. Okay, so... Nesta... So, the miasma flowing out around is going to affect everyone who's within close proximity. They're being slowly poisoned. We're going to have Nesta... is effectively going to be wounded too, which makes her more vulnerable. And we're gonna have the house guard. They're poisoned too. It could also be corrupted if you wanted. Poisoned to as a as technically a positive on their sheet, but it'll be negative for the things that we needed to do. So they're not doing good. They're almost wiped out. They're all coughing and spluttering, and they are not doing good, I'll tell ya. So yeah, this is real rough. Let's see. With that, the Beast of Shadows is... everyone is like getting sick and staggering around it, and it's using this time to recover some of its energy. I'm gonna say that the Beast of Shadows is kind of like starting to kind of become enraged. It's kind of buffing itself up. It's becoming enraged, and it's kind of recovering a little bit from the injuries that it's received so far. Which I'm not going to say is going to remove its wounded condition, but it's going to give it an opposing condition to negate some of the wounded effect. So Anrod is going to go. It's sitting there, and it's kind of doing its thing. I don't think Anrod has time to, like, worry about trying to set up an ambush. So he's going to use his well-hidden condition since the beast never really noticed him. Let's apply these. So hulking form for sure, because it's a big boy. Ravenous Hunger is not going to apply. Covered in Shadows is definitely going to apply. But we are going to get the benefits of the Rocky Outcroppings for our defense, or for like sneaking up on it for our attack. And then we are going to use hidden daggers that are dipped in poison. We're going to toss a bunch of daggers. We still have bad against armor. We are going to use easily overlooked to get into position. We'll pop former street urchin for that one as well. And yeah, he's moving in quick, so I'm going to say quick on my feet is going to be really good for this one, as he's moving in to attack the beast when it's kind of vulnerable. I don't know if this is necessarily intending to stop it from powering up. I think we're just trying to damage it while it's powering up, which is just what we gotta do, I think. So we're gonna do a detail roll, and we're gonna give it its adventure level. That's 2 power. Again, we're doing good on this one. We just need to roll well. Okay, success with consequence. So we're gonna say as Anrod is running in, he's throwing his daggers into this beast, and they're finding purchase this time. I'm gonna say it's gonna wound it, which is gonna put it to wounded 3. Oh, I didn't add the wounded condition. Hold on 1 second. It's wounded. Well, actually, no, it's wounded condition, because it wasn't really fighting us or doing anything. It was just holding still. So yeah, I wouldn't say the wounded condition is applying. Okay, never mind. But let's get it to wounded 3, which is good. We're almost, the beast is almost defeated. I'm gonna use one of the power I got for that, and since I used dipped in poison, and if you watched the last session, then you know kind of my rule for this. So 1 has to go to dealing damage, and now the Beast of Shadows is also going to be poisoned in addition to this, which could be good, Oop, he's poisoned one. Could be good if we have enough time to let it die from poison, but I don't think we do. And right now the poison isn't really doing much, but hey, who knows? Maybe that poison is going to do something. But I'm going to say that the consequence, so I don't think we dealt with the threat. I think it's still powering up, so the consequence is going to be separate from that. The consequence is, as Anrod's kind of running in to throw a bunch of daggers at this, the beast is going to lash out at Anrod and is going to make kind of like an attack at him. I'm going to say it's because he didn't know where he was from. It's kind of a very wild strike, so I'm not going to give it the full benefit. But we have 3 damage coming our way, so Anrod is going to need to avoid that. We have Agile as a Fox and Evasive Maneuvers. I'm going to try to reduce that. I'm going to say it's 3 damage coming in. He apply Scrawny, though. No, Scrawny's not, like, if we get hit, it's going to be bad, but if we avoid being hit, or at least mostly being hit, I don't think Scrawny would apply. So yeah, we can try it. We're trying to mitigate it by 2. We need to succeed on this. I don't think we have anything against us, since none of the tags it can apply to this reaction roll. So we don't have these 2. So we don't have the negative might. So we got 2. We just need to roll. We just need to succeed. No! No, Snake Eyes. That's so terrible. So Anrod sees it, but he can't do anything. He's midair when he's throwing his daggers because he's cool like that. He flips the best he can to try to avoid it, and he gets smacked. And he's just going to take 3 wounds like that. That's so tragic. So that's bad. In addition, the Beast of Shadows, I'm going to say it has become enraged. So it's going to get a new tag, which is going to make it harder to fight. And it's also going to resist wounds 2. So it's resisting its wounds because of its rage. So it's still going to suffer a little bit of a penalty for its wounded condition, but not that much. And we are in not good straits. Myself, Duran Duran, and Nesta are all in really bad situations here, and the beast is now enraged. It is going to... The guards are kind of all coughing. They're close to it. Nesta's close to it. Duran Duran, I'm going to say, is a little bit off. So is Anrod, because Anrod probably got flung away by being hit. So it's going to... Let's see. Even Nesta awed the guards. I'm gonna roll a die here. The guards. So it's turned towards the guards, and now it's gonna try to deal a death blow to the guards whom are poisoned. So this is really bad. It's plain and simple. So let's see here. It's turning towards the guards. Oh, let's see. We need to decide who's going to act. Duran Duran would probably get on. Yeah, I think Duran Duran is the kind of character. He's going to... I think everyone's going to go all out. I think this is the time. Everyone is going to try to go all out. So Duran Duran is going to use the last of his energy. I'm going to say he's going to burn himself. He's gonna go out after this, no matter what. Let's see. We got hulking form, ravenous hunger, covered in shadows. Enraged, and then we can do resist wounds 2 if wounded is the highest negative status, which I do believe it is, or negative for the creature in question. Okay, so yeah, I think the guards are gonna fight back. Well armed. They're terrified though. Poison is not necessarily going to apply in this situation because we have a negative status already, resist wounds 2, that's being applied to the situation. So yeah, that's what we got on that end. So Duran Duran's burning himself. Final charge, Duranthiac, mounted combat. Nessa's gonna get on her feet, do her best she can. She's gonna use her inspiring aura. Resplendent plate is not coming in the situation. Baylor's gonna toss in his spiritual allies, as they're gonna do distract and try to help in some way. And then I guess Anrod's gonna toss some daggers in to see if he can help at least a little bit in this situation. Yeah, Dolok can't do anything. And Dolok, he's been good, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of roles he's not very handy in. I'm gonna say this is gonna also apply heroic, because this is Duran Duran's putting himself in the way. And again, we're not applying Duran Duran's wounded because we are already applying the resist wounds negative to us in this scenario. So that's our biggest negative modifier, and wounded 3 is our biggest positive. So yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go for a detail roll, go all out. Everyone's doing everything they can. Duran Duran, this is his final go. This is looking good. Get so much here. Yeah, so normally this would be a +1, but because Duran Duran is burning and this goes off. Let's see, little defenders. Oh, we're also having the guards fight back, which is helping. So they're well armed. The creature's wounded 3, but it has his resist 2 wounds on. Yeah, negative heroic. Negative 3. Yeah, I think this is everything we got in this scenario. Big roll. Let's see if it works. Because if there's consequence, it's going to be bad. And we got no consequences on the dot, by the way. So everyone's running in, fighting off the creature. Everyone comes in and strikes at the creature as it's about to like lay into the guards. And Duran Duran yelling, shouting, using all his might, smashes into the creature. Anrod's daggers come in to do some damage, and we managed to stop the creature just in the nick of time as Anrod kind of, or not Anrod, Duran Duran. Duran Duran's the protagonist here. I don't know what Anrod's doing. But Duran Duran passes out from his injuries and slamming into the creature, and probably the poison too, as we defeat the Beast of Shadows. But I'm gonna say that there's one more threat that we have to deal with. The miasma is still there, and there's a bunch of people in its immediate vicinity, and they're being poisoned, and it will not be good for them if that poison takes hold. So we need to get them out like now. So we have the miasma. We have the cloaked and miasma. Yeah. And there's no positive conditions at this moment that we can benefit from. Dolok is going to try to commune again. I'm going to say he's going to burn his commune with fairies. He's going to ask, like, I won't ask for anything else today. Please just banish this power. That's going to put us at 0. Inspiring Aura. Yeah. Fortunately, Anrod can't really add anything to this. I think that's all we got. So, quick roll. Don't have -3. So we got +1 to mitigate or remove the poison. Oh my god, no! I rolled a 1. So that's unfortunate. So Dolok is asking the fairies best he can. They do their best. The miasma is like weakening, but it's just not enough, and so everyone around suffers from the poison of the miasma. Who we already dictated who's close is Nesta. Brandon's also there, so he's definitely getting another level. But I think worst of all, the guards are also poisoned too, and we weren't able to really mitigate any because we didn't succeed. So unfortunately, the guards get wiped out. So, we were right there. We were so close. So, we managed to defeat the Beast of Shadows. And everyone's, like, cheering and excited, but, like, they're not paying attention. Dolok notices, and he quickly asks the fairies to help. But it just doesn't come soon enough, and it's not strong enough, as many of the guards begin coughing terribly and like vomiting blood along with black ichor from their lungs, as many of them suffer some consequences, as well as Nesta, who's fighting it the best she can, but she's not able to. She's down on a knee, and she's like about ready to pass out. And we pull people out the best we can. Nessa manages, Duran manages with Doran's help. But the guards kind of get mostly ruins. A lot of lives lost. That's really unfortunate. We did the best we could. Oh, the beast was so hard. Okay. So we managed to get as much as we can out. I'm gonna say some of the guards obviously survive. But Estevel, Anrod's friend, is saddened and somewhat despondent from everything, as many of the guards die. And so we fought the best we could. We did defeat a powerful beast, but it came at too much of a cost. Some guards managed to survive, so there's something there, but it was not it was not good enough. So, everything gets reported to the guild. Defeating the beasts and saving what people we could does earn a bit of a reward. Not a lot, but it's something. And I will say Espel is, I mean, she knew is already a very strong ass. The creature was very powerful, but she's not happy about that. Let's do a oracle check here. Let's see. Does she want to talk to Anrod after everything, even though we failed? I'll put -1 on this for what happened. 8, which is a partial. So Anrod, after everything is said and done, he's just like, sorry, we tried our best. We managed to take down such a powerful beast, but it's miasma. And she's just like, I know. I couldn't have asked for more, and if you guys didn't help, then they all would have died, but many good men died here. Yeah, I know. She looks at him, and she kind of even now just notices. She's like, have we met before? Anrod kind of just, he's hurt a little bit by this, but he looks at her and she says, I don't know. Did you used to play in the streets with the kids when you were little? She thinks about it for a moment. She gives a recognizing look. And she's like, I remember you. You're one of those boys I used to play with. Back then. And he nods. She's like, well, an adventurer now. He's like, yeah, well, not because I wanted to. And she's like, how come? It's like, well, I mean, who would do this? It's dangerous work. But I owe a debt and I can't pay it off that easy. She nods and she's like, how much do you owe? And he says, well, at first I thought these people were helping me. This merchant who said he was investing in me. So every time I broke my gear, every time I needed my wounds repaired, he paid for it all. He let me get so far in the hole. At this point in time, I don't know, a sizable amount of wealth at the very least, or at least so he claims. The guild has been made aware as well, so if I want to work with the guild ever again, I have to pay these debts somehow, and he already gets a portion of everything I make. He's like, how terrible. Like, it's pretty common. There's a lot of people out there who become adventurers because they have nothing else. And this is a very common scheme. There's a lot of merchants out there who make these deals with the Adventurers Guild, and they allow it because at the end of the day, we need adventurers. So I don't blame the guild. Times are desperate, and the surrounding area, as we saw today, is dangerous. Plus, there's a lot of wealth you can make down in the dungeon. That doesn't make it any easier. Well, at the very least, let me help. She hands him a small bag of gold. In addition to everything. And we'll mark a milestone on his indebted there. Esfel, you don't have to. I've done the work. She's like, I know. But Anrod, you always were making trouble, and I'm just happy to see you fighting for other people for once. I always thought you would be, well, thief. She shrugs. She gives a sheepish look. I don't blame you. A lot of kids on the street end up that way. It's hard being an adventurer. I mean, if it wasn't for that merchant, I wouldn't even be here now, but still. It's a terrible situation, and I can't help you with your debts, but... well, at least not directly. if my father's looking for work, I'll definitely recommend him to you. He nods. Well, be well. He nods again. Various town guard and various members from the guild are coming and looking over the adventurers. Fortunately, none of our adventurers died here today, but it's going to be some time for them to heal up. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of a lot of these conditions here. I wish there was a... Okay, that works. So we got a milestone on Indebted for that venture. I'm also going to say we fought and brought down a powerful foe, so that's definitely going to stick around. And what I want to do is I want to add Esfel to our backpack as a possible, like, she is a story tag that we might be able to make use of later. I wish... So, one thing I do want to do with this system here is, since we're playing essentially like your standard, like Japanese version of high fantasy, I would like to have like a rotating cast for our companions. But I don't want to have all the companion sheets on this character sheet. I wish I could drag these off of the character sheets to save them for later. Like, make another sheet of companions and save that for later. So, for now, I'm not going to do this on stream because I'll just take some of our time. And our time is precious. We're already an hour into the story for today. But I do want to, at some point later, I'm probably going to make another tag or another actor for companions. And I'm just going to copy him over. So for today, we'll just know that many of these are going to be on here that we might not have access to. And in fact, probably most of them won't. I do want to see if I make any like connections with the companions that we brought today. I'm gonna say Dolok is probably the only one really, because he was kind of aware of us and we kind of worked well together. But I don't think Nesta nor Durandran would probably pay a lot of attention to Anrod because they were up front, and a lot of what he did was kind of in the back lane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 2d6, and if we generate a success, so 7 or higher, we'll mark a milestone here on Dolok. And if we get full milestone, then, you know, we'll like upgrade that relationship, and maybe Dolok can become like a more permanent member of our party. So we'll go ahead and mark this for now. Let's see here. Those ones. All right. So Dolok, he saw what we were doing, but like he wasn't super impressed. So he's gonna be off for the time being. I'll unmark these. We're gonna go ahead and take a sojourn or a rest several days as everyone's kind of like getting their wounds and everything treated and all that. We're gonna have to take one of those days to rest because we did get wounded. I deleted that earlier and I shouldn't have. So we're gonna have to take one of the shifts as they do. So when you do camping or a sojourn, which is like pretty much any time in the game, you kind of have like a brief pause of time for your characters. Typically this is used for like resting to get rid of conditions at the end of a day, and the type of conditions you can remove is more or less based on, again, like the loose logic of the system and the amount of time. So we were wounded 3, which is pretty significant, and if we rested for like a day in the middle of like a dungeon run or something like that, we'd probably only reduce that condition by 1, maybe 2. But because we're gonna have several days to like heal up and everything, then we just remove that condition pretty much like all together. So we've done that. And now I have another action. So what I could do is I could mark improve on one of my tags, or I could go out and buy gear. You know, I don't have any wealth, but probably have enough to get like something small. So I could toss something in the backpack for that condition. I could do some other kind of action, like find odd jobs to get some wealth, which could be interesting. Try to save some money together for use later in the adventure. But because I have like an improved 2 here on my hidden daggers, I'm gonna say taking some of the money he got from Esval, and obviously he paid a lot of his debt back to mark that milestone, but I'm gonna improve his daggers while he's out and about. So we're going to mark and improve on the daggers, and we're going to, I think we're gonna add a new tag to hidden daggers. So how would we like to improve our daggers? I can't really do armor piercing without like removing bad against armor. And I like the idea that heavier armor targets are just targets we can't necessarily run up against. So now when you are dealing with possessions specifically, you can do tags associated with the weapons. So you can make them sharpened. I could do like sharpened daggers, for instance. I could also do exploding daggers, and that could be one I could only use if I want to like burn it to add like a big boost. That would be kind of cool. I like the idea of that. We could also use another tag associated with using the hidden daggers. So for instance, sneak attack could be a thing where if we're hidden, we could use that power tag, which could give more damage potential to the daggers. I really like the exploding daggers idea though, because that can be used not only just to do a lot of damage when we need to, but we could also burn that tag for things like clearing debris or getting around. So it has like a lot of extra uses. So I'm gonna say we're gonna have some explosive daggers as one of our tags. So that gives us a little bit more versatility with our daggers outside of our main method of play. So with that, Anrod has rested. He's improved his daggers, paid off some of his debts. He's feeling good, and I'm gonna say now he kind of wants to go for a dip into the dungeon. So he's going to go around, he's going to ask at the guild if there's any groups who are looking to dive into the dungeon. I'm not going to make it a check or anything. There's going to always be groups going down into the dungeon. But how far are we going into the dungeon? So for that, I'm going to say we're going to do a d6 minus 1 for the level of challenge. I'm going to say the minimum is 1. So okay, so we got a 0, which means we got a minimum 1. So that's not a very extensive challenge. There's some group that is going in pretty superficially, probably some newer adventurers, and they are probably needing someone in the guild to like go down to kind of act as a guide slash kind of like a guard against anything major. but they're going to be willing to pay Enrod for his time doing this. Probably a very common program. And Enrod's not strong enough for him to necessarily refuse, because if he goes too far into the dungeon, it's going to be very dangerous. So I'm going to say we're going to have probably some more people. Let's do a D4 plus 1 of how many charges he's going to have to look after. Or no, we don't need to do that. So I'm going to say I'm not going to worry about how many people are going down, because essentially, like, these are not like fellow adventurers yet. Maybe they'll get through this. Maybe that'll be something that'll become as like a benefit from this. But I'm not going to say I'm going to have any teammates for this one. So mostly it's just going to be a challenge of having a charge, which are some newbie adventurers. So that being said, let's go ahead and create a new challenge. Newbie adventurers. This is our charge. Challenge rating of 1. Let's see. They're going to have a harm limit of 2. They don't have good gear. They're very new. And honestly, even if they don't die, which we hope they don't, they will likely leave and not want to be adventurers. So their value is not very high. And I like the idea of convincing them to stay on as adventurers. I'm going to mark this as a 3. And we're going to do this as a count up. So essentially, like 3 times during this adventure, I need to convince them of being adventurers to stick on with the guild, and the guild will be happier if I manage to convince them all the way. Okay, I think that's it. I guess we can add the threat of leaving the guild. And the consequence is leaves the guild. Let's see, we'll say 1 or more members choose to leave guild. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and give him a couple tags here. Honestly, I probably should do another limit. Yeah, I'm gonna have a limit for abandon, and we'll have it be abandon 3. So we'll make it not necessarily counter. I'll probably do a count up as well. Add 1 to abandon. There we go. All right, we're gonna give them some tags. They're going to have beginner gear. They're going to be naive. And yeah, I think that's all we really need. They're just beginners. They're naive. That's all we got. So we got some newbie adventurers. Enrod is Not super excited for this. He was feeling really good. He upgraded his daggers and everything, but going to the first level of the dungeon, killing some slimes and some other, weaker monsters probably won't be too bad. And he's just kind of observing for the time being. So, I want to get a vibe for what this group that we're getting is going to be like. So let's go ahead and do an oracle. And we're just going to roll on the interpretive oracle. Uh, 21. We have lost sheep, getting lost, wandering, seeking a direction, someone in distress. I think this is perfect. So obviously they're seeking direction. They're a lot of younger, I'm going to say probably like fresh young adults, like probably like 16 plus in this society they've decided they want to be adventurers. So they left their farms to join the guild through this process. And many of them are hopeful, but they don't know how hard it is to be an adventurer. So, which makes sense, is fine. Not super interesting, but that's just how it is sometimes. Sometimes the story just makes sense. So, looking around, or going into the dungeon, let's see, let's get some tags for the beginning level of the dungeon. Also, I want to change my music. Let me change my music. I was not thinking about it, but I think we're not in a combat situation anymore. I hope. There you go. So let's go ahead and add some tags to the dungeon. Ruins is probably appropriate. Let me just do it this way. But I want to add a couple more tags here. So let's roll on the oracle to see what new tags for the first layer of the dungeon. That is a what? 21? 21 again. Dice roller is broken. No, not really. It just happens sometimes. Oh no. No, I didn't. Okay, good. Tags. Here we go. 21. Dangerous or useful objects. I want some context for what kind of dangerous or useful objects there are. So I'm going to roll interpretive. 11. That is going to be the peasant. Okay, so the first level of the dungeon has kind of been taken over by the guild, and there is a lot of like spare gear and like low quality gear that's kind of been stored here and around. None of the monsters on this level are particularly intelligent, so there's no fear of them kind of running off with any of the gear. So we'll say one of these tags is low quality gear. It's kind of just everywhere. All right. Let's roll again. 46. Notable structures or features. Okay. So there's a notable structure in the first layer of the dungeon. What is the nature of this structure? 41. No, 14. Ah, I did it wrong, different that time. 14. Notable structure. The marshal. Pride, skill, arms, organized and orderly. A soldier or law enforcer. So... I'm going to say that there is not necessarily owned... Well, I guess I did say the guild kind of owns the first level. So in addition to like all this gear and everything like that, there is a... there's like a barracks or like a fortified structure that is kind of like a, you know, newbie training. So we'll just say Adventure Academy. On this first level, where there's this building here, we can go in, get help as we need to, even though the law of the dungeon is open to the low level mobs, which is good, interesting. I want to do one more, so I'll do one more tag. At 15. Notable landscape feature. Okay, what kind of landscaping feature is here? What kind of terrain are we looking at? Is this 21? Or 12? 12. My god, they're all low. That's the merchant. Polite conflict, bargains, contracts and promises, a worldly person. Let's look at terrain feature. That was 12. Valley. Okay. Valley, huh? Interesting. So I want to say that the Valley, it's so weird, because what, you know what, yeah, we'll just go with the gut instinct on this. So in the dungeon, when you descend past the entryway to the beginning, you enter into like a simulated world where you see a sky. Like the academy is kind of this weird structure that looks to appear to sit on the top of this large hill that kind of descends down into this open valley wooded area. But when you're inside the building, you can ascend stairs up that leave the dungeon that you cannot perceive from inside the dungeon. It's very weird, very magical. So I guess we're gonna say Wooded Valley as our last tag here. I didn't do anything with that, huh? Okay, cool. This one. So it's very like, it feels very beginner zone. There's low quality gear kind of stashed around everywhere. There's an adventure academy that sits on top of this large hill, and you kind of descend this hill into this valley, and somewhere in the valley there is a stairwell that kind of descends to the next level. All right, so Anrod goes in, checks out the academy, and I think I want to throw in the first kind of like major challenge here. So when he gets there and he kind of reports in, he says, there is a, let's see, man or woman. Woman. So there's this woman there who says, Well, they're all down in the training room getting ready to go, but they have some nerves and they're procrastinating going into the dungeon. So it's your job to get them all together. So Anrod has to kind of convince them to gather up and go into the dungeon. So going around, he identifies several of them and bringing them together. Now, Anrod's not great for this. He is mostly there as a guardian, so this is something he's not good at. But he's a former street urchin, and he knows that these kids probably have come here for a reason. He's an indebted adventurer, so we're gonna make this a quick roll. He's gonna use indebted adventurer and former street urchin to like kind of trick them, kind of be like, hey, you know, guys, I know it's really rough, and trust me, I've been doing this a while, but this is where you're gonna make the money, and you're not gonna start making money unless you are getting your feet on the floor and doing this. So unless you want to be doing odd jobs around town, going through people's gutters and doing everything for money, we need to get going. So we got +3 here. The adventurers, the young people are not necessarily throwing in any kind of arguments. They are here for a reason, so we're just gonna mark it with this +3. So make this a quick roll. That is a full success. All right, so they get gathered up. They're like, yeah, okay, we know. We're gonna do newbie adventures. I'm gonna toss this here on the board, and we're gonna give them, I'm gonna say that's gonna give them a convince. So convinced 1. They don't want to go and do all the odd jobs around town. They don't want to go back to their farms. They're here for a reason. So he's plenty convincing, and he did not need to suffer any consequences. That was a pretty good roll, honestly. You do have a good chance with a +3 of just getting a full success. The average roll is on 2d6 is 7, but there's a not small chance of getting a 9. And so I would say that was kind of like a, not a 50-50 check, but like a 60% check of getting a full success, which again, pretty good all things considered. So shrink this for now. Getting off, they all march out of the front doors, and before them is this kind of wide spanning valley, a clear sky above them, which is very jarring. As they went underground, they were inside a building with no windows, and they open up and they're just outside, even though they went down to get this far. They feel in awe and kind of a little bit afraid, but they begin marching off, and Anrod is behind, kind of just monitoring. He doesn't want to get in their way. He wants them to practice, and it's not his job to kind of lead. He just is here to observe and to kind of keep everyone safe. So they begin moving on, and it's at this point that they are given like their own tasks. So they need to go in, they need to fight some monsters, and then those monsters are going to drop some low quality loot that they're going to have to gather, and they need to gather up a fair amount if they want to get paid at all. And because they're naive, Anrod knows that they don't need to make a ton to feel good about this, but they need to make something. So they're looking around, and they are obviously struggling. They have never done anything like this before. And Anrod is not supposed to help them, but maybe he can offer some hints or clues. on what they should do next. So the not the risk, the threat in this particular scene is they're looking around, but they're really bad at it, and so they need to find some prey and make some money, and that's going to help convince them. So how is Anrod going to help them with this? My thought is that Anrod is going to keep low. He's gonna fade into the background with easily overlooked, and from his powers being a former street urchin. And I think he's going to like lure enemies in. So he is going to, I'm gonna say he's going to, as an indebted adventurer, he knows how to do this. He knows where to find them. So I'm going to apply indebted adventurer, and then I'm going to say he's going to apply his evasive maneuvers to not get attacked by any of these low-level enemies. So all of these against their naive, because they're not making it easy for him to kind of lure these monsters in. So he's going to do that. We're going to do another quick roll, because I don't think we need to do anything more than that. So it's going to be +3. Again, not bad. Okay, another full success. On the dot with no consequences. Pretty solid. So Anrod draws some monsters in, but remains relatively hidden while doing so. And the newbies notice, and they're like, oh, look, monsters! Ah! And they all kind of go running in and kind of dealing with these monsters. What kind of monsters are these? What kind of low-level monsters are these? Let's roll another Oracle, shall we? Now, I definitely should use probably like a different Oracle from another game like Mythic or something for something like this, but I don't have any experience with those, and I just don't have that on hand, so we'll work with what we got. Let's see, 25. What do we have on magical being here? Tree spirit or talking tree? I find that interesting. So little spirit guys. Or under interpretive, powerful steed. Journeying fast, reliable, and moderate, overcoming hardship, a mount or transport. I like the little tree spirits. So we got little, like, nature spirity guys. Probably drop some kind of spirit cores or something like that. Good for making low-level, spirit-focused gear. So. These little things are not particularly dangerous, but they can snare new adventurers with some thorny roots that can cause some pretty nasty damage to one's legs if they're caught. So the adventurers are going to fight their beginner gear and naive. So Anrod needs to ensure that they succeed in this venture without taking too much damage. And he needs to not directly help them, or at least not in a way that they see, and he's not supposed to. So I'm going to say, again, he's going to blend into the background. He's using his easily overlooked. And, you know, yeah, easily overlooked as a former street urchin. Hidden daggers, I would say, like, they're small, and because of their hidden quality, he can kind of do so in a way that makes it hard to notice. Ooh. I don't know. Well, streetwise prowler, maybe. Looking for his openings. Yeah, I like Streetwise Prowler. He's looking for his openings. He's watching them all kind of do this, and it's kind of like a ploy he used to use back in the day of waiting until someone is distracted before kind of nicking something, or in this case, hitting an enemy with like a weapon. I'm gonna say Dipped in Poison is gonna come up to this as well. As maybe he's just hitting the enemies just enough so that they're poisoned, so that by the time the adventurers kind of get to them, the enemies are like super weakened by the poison. So yeah, I like that. So we're gonna go ahead and make our quick roll for 3 power again. Pretty good, pretty easy. Okay, so that is a success, but there is a consequence here. So I'm gonna say that the adventurers are, you know, they're going around and they're doing really, really well. And Anrod is doing his best to kind of like make some of the enemies weaker, but some of the adventurers do suffer a little bit of damage in the engagement. So I'm gonna say that they're not harmed, but a new threat is gonna come up. So some of them like get let's see, we'll say a, so you know, a kind of like probably like early 20s young woman is horribly scarred. She didn't notice one of the plant creatures. She left her guard open and it kind of slashed her in the leg and it hurt her real bad. She looks maybe like a little bit of a noble, or you know, she didn't want to be a noble or a merchant or something, and so she's trying to be an adventurer. But now she suffered pain, and now she's really not liking it, and she's looking like she's going to want to leave. So Anrod has to real quick convince her otherwise. Let's see. Looking at this. Oh gosh. I mean, he's gonna have to try to just use his words. Oh yes, hates merchants too. Darn. Okay. We're gonna mark hates merchants. He sees her. He's supposed to keep her in on this, but he wouldn't be upset if some merchant's daughter just left. He doesn't think she'll make it. He has a bit of a bias. Finding odd jobs is not a good convincing argument because she looks like she comes from money. Yeah. We're just going to make a -1 on this. Quick roll. So. Oh, I need to get rid of these two. Technically, I might be able to mark convinced because they were convinced earlier. But due to the setup here, I'm going to say that maybe this adventurer was not convinced as the others, because she's not worried about odd jobs or anything. So yeah, I think we're going to work with just hates merchants. -1. Now, I just need a success. I'm not trying to mitigate a status anymore. I just need to try to get a success on this, which is going to be harder because now things have flipped. Now that +3 that was kind of like making sure I had a lot of successes without consequence, this is likely to just not roll a success. But let's see here. Oh, we got a 9, which makes an 8. That we'll call that a success. So he's able to be like, hey, you know, being an adventurer, it's just gonna hurt. That's just how it's a part of the job. So you came here knowing that if you didn't, then I don't know what to tell you. And that somehow convinces her. She's like, I know what being an adventurer is about. And she gets a little frumpy, but that makes it where she doesn't want to leave. Looking over the challenge, after all the spirits are dealt with, The adventurers get their loot. I'm going to say this convinces them a little bit here. They had a successful hunt, and they got some loot, and they weren't really even hurt that bad from the whole thing. But now we need to have a major consequence. We need to have some kind of upset happen during this. Not something major. This is not meant to be super challenging, but some kind of narrative event. So let's go ahead and roll a consequence on the conflict table. Oops. No, don't roll 100s. 11 on the conflict table. Interesting. I think that's bad for me. Indeed. A monster appears. Okay. So, a monster appears. And I'm going to say that this monster is going to pose more of a threat than our little wood spirits from before. So let's go ahead and roll for what shows up here today. That's at 56, 65. That's either on the magical being chart, a demon bound into a gemstone. I like that idea. The other interpretive is the Bloody Crown. Violence, war, politics, two forces clash with each other. I'm going to say a demon bound into a gemstone. So an evil gemstone-esque creature appears that is maybe not like a high level, like an imp type being, but bound into a gemstone. And it is wicked, just wants to cause harm and mischief. And so this little thing comes in. We're going to put the combat music back on. As it comes up, it's going to be... We'll make it a challenge rating of... Oh, goodness. Yeah, D4 minus 1. Okay, so it's a challenge rating 1. So it's not, again, not super dangerous. And normally a creature that Anrod would not struggle with fighting. But considering the newbie adventurers, this is going to be a whole nother type of challenge. So let's real quick make another challenge. And we're going to call this a Impolites. Impolites, yes. Impolites. Impolites, yes. Impolites. Impolites. Bloodstone. Okay, so it's an aggressor. And I'm going to say also a sapper. So it debuffs and attacks. Its limits. It has a destroyed value of 2. A banish of 1. You can cleanse. Oh, we'll make it cleanse. Cleanse of 1. That's not how you spell cleanse. Cleanse. Right. Am I just gonna look dumb here on the internet? Nope, I was right. So they can cleanse it if they have the ability to do so. Or it could be destroyed. And... Ooh, you know what? I like... So it's threats of pretty gemstone. And disguise a gemstone. I'm not going to do more than that, but it disguises itself as a gemstone. And the consequence is picking the stone up saps the target's strength, which is going to be enfeebled 2. All right. And we're gonna say it's disguised. And we're going to say it has a status of we'll make it malicious. Doing evil acts it's particularly good at. I guess it wouldn't be malicious 2, it'd be malicious 1. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then I probably add some more, but this kind of gets the general gist of the creature across. So so we'll say as they're kind of looting the spirit cores, one of them sees this gemstone kind of laying in the grass next to him, and one of them's like, "Hey, look, I found this cool stone." And Anrod notices, and he has a split second to try to prevent the new adventurer from having their strength sapped from them. So Anrod here he's got a quick reaction. I'm going to say quick on his feet. As he's going to... agile as a fox as well, I think. No, he's just quick on his feet. So he notices, and he's going to move quickly over to try to, like, take the stone from them. Or, slap it out of their hand. I'm gonna say indebted adventurer. He's done this before. He knows what it is. He's got quick on my feet. But I will say that being naive is playing against him in this situation. Disguise doesn't quite work in this situation against Anrod, so I'm not gonna apply that one, nor malicious, because the stone itself is not acting at the moment. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and make that a quick roll. +1. Dang, he fails. So he runs over and he tries to snatch it from the guy's grasp, who instinctively pulls it away, being like, "Wait, it's mine." And then the impolite saps the guy's energy, and he suddenly like gets real weak as the impolite kind of floats up there, and you can see a wicked little face reflect in its gemstone exterior as it's going to attempt to attack the adventurer who is currently like on the ground. So I'm going to apply the enfeebled status to the adventurers. It's not how you spell enfeebled. 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 Okay. So the adventurers are going to have to try to deal with this. They're going to fight, but they got their beginner gear, and being naive is not necessarily a negative. Well, I guess they haven't fought this creature before. And one of them is enfeebled, so that's why I didn't make it a status. One of them is enfeebled and is the one currently in danger at this moment. And as well, I'm going to apply the malicious from the imp as a negative condition. Anrod is not supposed to act, but of course one of them is enfeebled, and so I'm going to say that he is doing his duty and acting in a way to protect the individual who got their spirit or got enfeebled. So he's going to use his hidden daggers. Go away. His hidden daggers. Dipped in poison is not going to work here. Daggers aplenty though. I could also use my explosive daggers, but then I'd have to probably spend time replenishing those daggers later, which would be kind of bad. I could do that, I suppose. I can burn explosive daggers. I would say bad against armor would normally apply, but since I'm using explosive daggers and it's just a little gemstone thing, I'm gonna say that's not gonna be the situation here. And yeah, I'm gonna say Undead Adventurer because again, he's probably fought these things before. He knows about them to some degree, at least at this very early level. So I think we're gonna roll with that. We're gonna quick roll. This only gives us a power of 1. Go ahead and see what we get here. Woo! Nice. That is a 10. So the Impolite is about to attack the adventurer and it gets destroyed 1. So we'll make it we'll give it the damaged status. As the adventurer guy, his strength sap gets pulled away by his allies. There's nothing here. Anrod it's damaged, so now Anrod is feeling a lot better about the adventurers kind of handling the situation. So with that, saving them, he's gonna be like, all right guys, go ahead, this is quite the challenge. So he's gonna try talking him up. So they're gonna have to try to deal with this. The Impolite is going to like screech and is going to attack wildly to try to do any kind of damage. Anrod is going to step back and be, go ahead guys. I'm gonna pop his easily overlooked. And there's one target, so I don't think he can attack quite in this situation. But I'm going to say Indebted and Veteran. He knows this creature's weakness. I think he's going to shout out to them like, hey, you know, this is its weakness. This is how you defeat this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use that and negate the naive. Not negate, but like, they're not naive. They know what to do in this situation. They still got beginner gear. One of them is still kind of like out of commission. But I think this is overall going to stack up in their favor. And then I'm just going to use easily over. I guess I don't need easily overlooked because I'm not doing anything. So just Indebted Adventurer, I guess. Yeah. Okay. -1. Beginner gear, enfeebled, malicious 1. Damage and adventure. Oh, is there anything he can do? I don't think I can hit it with a dagger without anyone noticing. Yeah, that might be in this scenario. Hands pincher, quick on my feet, evasive maneuvers. I have some tags in case things go bad here, so we're go ahead and roll. Oh, that's an 8. That's a 7. Okay, so the Avengers do a good job dealing with the Impolite. I'm gonna say the Impolite will be defeated by this. I'll just sag. Oh, I deleted the Adventures. Oops. That was bad. That was bad. I gotta re-add the tag. That was very much my bad. Convinced to. So the Adventurers managed to take out the Impolite, but it, in its death throes, throws some of its shards at one of the other adventurers in an attempt to harm them. So we're gonna say Anrod is going to use quick on my feet and evasive maneuvers. Though, because Naive didn't apply before, this adventurer is being caught off guard, so I'm going to apply that as a negative in this scenario. Let's see. Nothing about this is, well, I would say Agile as a Fox applies here. He's quick on his feet, and he's able to move in a way to get this adventurer out of harm's way. Do I kind of want to use easily overlooked to make it seem like the adventurer is like dodges it just barely themselves, feel the exhilaration, like, oh man, without feeling like he's helping them. Yeah, we're gonna do easily overlooked, but I'm gonna apply an additional negative because I feel like this is just a difficult action to do. So I'm going to kind of up the DC, essentially. So we'll add an additional negative on top. So this is +2. But this is a reaction check, so I just need to succeed. No, oh! I swore I rolled a 6, did I not? I rolled a 5. Oh, a 5 + 2. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so yes, okay, so because this is a reaction, there's no consequence here because I just effectively got around the consequence. So the adventurer, he like comes over very quickly and kind of like nudges them aside a little bit, and they don't notice that they're being pushed. They just see this like shard, this, you know, garnet-esque shard fly past their face, and they're like, whoa. And after that, so like not a lot happens, and I feel like the adventurers would feel pretty good after this. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna see if I can get this convinced 3, but I'm gonna make it a by chance. So they succeeded on the mission. They got some loot, and they didn't really suffer any consequences, so I'm going to say +3. And we'll just see if it's like a full success, partial success. Oh, well, it's a partial success. That's an 8. So I'm going to say that, yeah, most of them are pretty convinced that they want to keep on being adventurers. But, like, not all of them. And so while the grand majority are like, oh, yeah, we're here, we're gonna do this. One of the adventurers, well, let's see, is it that merchant daughter? Give a +1 on this. She the one? Oh, she's for sure the one. Okay, So the merchant's daughter, she's just like, you know what? This is kind of pleb stuff. This is kind of pleb stuff right here. I don't know if I want to be a part of this. Like, it was fun. We did the thing. I gotta kill some monsters. That was kind of cool. But I think this is probably it for me. So she doesn't want to join. But the rest are thoroughly convinced. And so they come back. The report comes in. Everything is nice and clear. The guild, you know, congratulates Anrod. He's like, good job doing what you did there, Anrod. You got some new adventurers under our belt. It's unfortunate we couldn't get all of them, but not everyone's going to be an adventurer anyway, and there's not really much you can do about that at the end. And Anrod will nod and be like, yeah, that's just how it rolls. The guild is going to pay him a little bit extra for his work here. I'm going to mark another milestone on paying off his debt, which is pretty good. Though, okay, so milestones, typically it should be like bigger the next time, so maybe I won't do that. But instead, I'm going to give Anrod a wealth tag. So Anrod got a little bit extra. So in addition to what he already owns, he is going to have a little bit extra. And yeah, a job well done. He successfully, you know, kept some people in, did his work. He's kind of itching to do some more, but we're at the end of the stream here. I think this is going really good. This is very much a great example of what this game is about. We started today off fighting a very difficult fight. We had a lot of injuries. We kind of failed our mission overall. I probably have more wealth right now if we had done the Espel's mission better. But the miasma and the threat, it was just too hard of a mission for some adventurers at our level for the kind of creature we were up against. We got to use a lot of interesting mechanics. It wasn't all just throwing my daggers. I used Indebted Adventurer and Former Street Urchin actually quite a bit here. Didn't really get to use Pence Pincher, but I've used pretty much all my tags in just these 2 sessions, which is really good. Is a really good sign. We also improved one of our milestones. And after that mission, I want to kind of just do a little upkeep in the meantime. So in that mission, he's going to refresh his explosive daggers as one of his activities. And then I could either mark and improve, or I could spend that wealth to add something to his kits. Oh, he's pretty good. Well-rounded. I don't find, like, honestly, that last mission, if I was more charismatic, that probably would have been helpful. But nothing here kind of leans into that. Even if I upgraded one of these, I don't know if that would necessarily help. So I don't know if I want to mark and improve or pick up a tag. I could buy armor. I could buy some armor. Since I have wealth, I think adding like a more kind of permanent inventory tag of armor would be nice and would help in his overall defensive quality. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use my other activity to spend my wealth. I'm gonna add some studded leather to his backpack. So now he's even better defended. That studded leather is going to be good unless something takes it away. And that pretty much improves Agile as a Fox by grace of it's usually his defensive tag. So now he has some good offensive, good defensive. I like the explosive daggers. I think that is a very fun tag because the explosive daggers, being a tag that's inherently like burn or not, makes it in a way more powerful. Because I don't pull these out unless I'm really like looking to hurt someone. And also because they're an explosive tag, they can be used to like clear blockages or do a variety of things that explosives are good for. So that gives hidden daggers kind of a little bit of extra versatility. We also got some milestones, surprisingly. Marking a milestone on hidden daggers and indebted adventure is really good. We haven't really marked off anything else. I don't think we got any closer to owning a house. I mean, we gotta pay off our debt first before we even start working on owning a house. Gain fame or notoriety. You could kind of argue a little bit on that, but like he was a part of a big group, and to be honest, like Duran and Nesta probably did a lot more in that mission than Anrod ended up doing. And helping out some newbie adventures was not super noteworthy, though it might be, who knows. But I hope, like, I don't know when I'm going to pick this up again. If you guys are interested in seeing more of a solo play for Legend in the Mists, I will make some videos on that. I'm so happy to be doing this in like better health than I was doing before. So let me know in the comments if you want to see more solo play stuff. I do plan on making some videos, as I talked about last time. I do have a video. I have a video already made, kind of like a review, and as well, I want to make some more videos on Legend in the Mist. It's not the only game I want to talk about, but it's kind of my new kind of obsession. So I kind of want to talk about it some more. I think this game is really cool. I mean, even from these 2 sessions, I mean, the first session was a lot of setup, to be fair. I was also really sick, or getting really sick. So, you know, I was kind of just not 100% at that point. Today, we pretty much did 2 whole missions in one go. We improved one of our tags, and we are already kind of making a little bit of story progress. We've met some important NPCs, and we kind of established some interesting things. So, like, for instance, we know the guild kind of uses the first layer of the dungeon to teach people, which is really cool. It's very interesting. And we kind of shown that's like a hidden world kind of thing. They get like this open sky when you go underground, which is really cool. We got to see a character handle tasks in a not standard way. And this is what I think is really good about Legend in the Mist is my job for the second half of the session was to watch some newbies and to help them without directly like helping them. Uh-oh. This is not the song. Goes for a hit loop. Anyway, without directly helping them. And so, like, if this would have been so much easier if my character was super talky, but at the same time, because the challenge level was really low, it was actually perfect because my character had just enough tags to kind of get around some of the annoyances of dealing with the low-level adventurers. And easily overlooked was like king in that situation. It was really, really good. And indebted adventure, I mean, not a tag I thought I would use a lot, but considering the situation, it's contextual, right? So Anrod has done this. He's been an adventurer. He's been through the beginner zone. So by the grace of that, he has experience, and this tag applied. Really good. We got to use a lot more of Agile as a Fox, especially Cook on My Feet and Evasive Maneuvers. Really, really handy in that situation. And there's so many ways. Even if we look here at the companions that we brought along with us, the Inspiring Aura was so handy. Just a constant buff that Nesta could throw on to people. Dolok kind of came in handy, but kind of didn't. I mean, the Beguiling Power really was good for drawing enemy aggro. He was able to essentially like make people more appealing targets, which was actually very useful in that fight. Baylor was the only one who honestly didn't really do a lot. I mean, I'd say he didn't do a lot. He didn't add any necessary context to the scene. Him just using his spiritual allies to help was really good, and that helped a lot of the situations. But Baylor did not add any context to the scene that was like usable. And where Dolok was not nearly as useful as Baylor in the grand scheme of things. Beguiling power was very interesting in ways where we could cause the enemy to draw its attention to someone else more successfully. And we got to see like resplendent plate mail. Wasn't always useful unless Nesta was like the target, which means, you know, being the target in a situation is very useful. So if you're looking at playing this solo, I'm going to recommend for sure having companions. Companions are going to help, even if it's not a full team, because we saw that a full team is very, very powerful. But if it's a full team, you can do a lot. And when you are adding companions, make sure they have a wide range of things they can do so that you can kind of stack them together. And you know, because they have their own weaknesses, you know, we could see them grow over time. I intend to have the characters who participate in this story kind of grow along with the main character Anrod here. There was a lot of mechanics. I mean, we saw Anrod go from like go and hide when everyone was fighting the enemy to kind of get this big ambush off, which I wish had paid off a little bit more. But even with a status of 5 in his ambush, we saw that it didn't overpower the enemy. Like it went a long way to like making the difference because we were fighting a creature that was super powerful. But that was only possible because I had a bunch of allies and a target that the creature was already fighting. And if I was being watched by the creature, I would say that'd be much harder to do, and we wouldn't have gotten that tag as high as we did. I messed around with a lot of different types of threats. There were some scenes that had... I guess I didn't do multiple threats, to be fair, in any of the scenes. I really should have done multiple threats in the scenes, but it really didn't make a lot of sense. But I don't know. I feel like this session especially was really good at showing what the game has to offer. We did a whole adventure thing, and the stats kind of backed it up. And a lot of the oracles made things very interesting. And I find that this is harder to do in other kinds of games unless you're going and making a lot of stuff up yourself. I like the Impalite. I like the little imp trapped inside of a stone as a creature, you know, as a low level creature especially. It has very mimic energy, which I find very fun. So I don't know, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Obviously you're going to be watching this after the fact since I'm getting done here, but if you want me to do this, let me know in the comments. Leave a like, you know, do anything with this video. Any kind of interactions really help. I'll be talking about this more, but next week, I believe, we should be getting back to normal. Next week, I believe we're going to do probably the group session more with Legend in the Mists. And in addition to that, in addition to that as well, I think we'll be having table talk as normal, but who knows. So if you want to be up to date on everything that's going on, check out the Discord in the I think it's in the description. Yeah, there's in the description. And with that, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say have a good day.